We're going to serve you the dish of asparagus vinaigrette because the vinaigrette actually complements the taste of the asparagus with the acidity inside the vinegar. Does that make sense? So when we make the vinaigrette, it's going to be 3 parts oil, 1 part vinegar. So that means we're going to have 3 times as much oil and 1 part vinegar. We're going to introduce, oh, no, that was a good asparagus. That was a good asparagus. We're going to introduce mustard into the vinaigrette, which you guys have in your recipe. If you introduce mustard into the vinaigrette, that's no longer actually called a basic vinaigrette. That's actually what's called an emulsified vinaigrette because mustard is considered what's called an emulsifier. Every day you go to the grocery store and you purchase your Italian dressing and you're shaking it up right before dinner, you're actually forming an emulsion. A uniform mixture of 2 or more unmixable liquids. They're not designed to go together. They're designed to repel each other. But you can bring them together by forming an emulsion. You can hold them together longer by introducing an emulsifier such as eggs or mustard. But look how beautiful that flows off of it. Only way that stays together is the introduction of that mustard. Yes, sir.
What kind of mustard is that?
It's up to you. We used Dijon mustard. Use a Dijon mustard vinaigrette. You can use whole grain mustard. You can use the basic standard mustard. You can use spicy mustard.
Because it changes the color?
Yeah, it changes the color. If you use a brown mustard, this will actually have more of a brown tint to it. And also, if you use certain types of oils. If you use salad oil, this will be like we used olive oil. Anybody see the green tint to it? The green came from the what? The olives and olive oil. But if we actually use a salad oil, this would have been lighter. A lot of times when you purchase mayonnaise in the grocery store and it's really white, it's a pretty good chance that they actually used a salad oil or a vegetable oil. Make sense? But a true, real mayonnaise, a lot of times the Italians actually use olive oil. So it looks totally different. Or you'll see the olive oil flavored mayonnaise sometime from Kraft and Hellmann's inside the grocery store. And if you look in the bottle, it actually has a green tint to it because they actually used olive oil to make that. So, oh my gosh, Chef, did we go to school here? when are we going to do some cooking? We're going to get to the cooking eventually. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to blanch the asparagus. Blanching means we're going to partially cook the asparagus. So what we want to do, make sure it's on water's on, full blast. We're going to place it in the water, but only going to place it in there for about a couple of minutes. What did your recipe say? How long did it tell you to cook the asparagus? 3 minutes, good. It depends on how fresh that asparagus is, how old that asparagus is, how thick the asparagus is. Sometimes the little bitty asparagus, you get the little small one, sometimes you get the big one. If you go out and buy the small asparagus, don't take it home thinking it's going to get fatter. That small asparagus is going to stay small. So pretty good chance you probably want to go out and get a pretty good asparagus. I see people do that, take it home and then put it in water, so I'm waiting for it to get fatter. You'll be waiting 100 years for that. Dinosaurs will be back around by the time that asparagus get fatter again. All it's going to do is wilt and go away. So what you want to make sure that you get a good asparagus with a nice, tight flower or bud. Make sense? All right. What we're doing now is we're just blanching the asparagus off. And you can see the color changing. Everybody see it? That's a lot darker green color than we actually started out with. Once you blanch the asparagus, in this dish, in the recipe it told you to do what? It told you to shock the asparagus. When you shock the asparagus, all you're doing is taking it out of the hot water and cooling it down in what? Cold or ice water. That's shocking it. This dish is actually served cold because it's almost like a salad. So when we do the asparagus, when we serve it to you guys, we're going to actually serve it and then we're going to serve it with the vinaigrette inside and then you guys get to taste it. Okay. Anybody remember what I told you the parts of oil to vinegar should be? 3 parts oil, 1 part vinegar. You'll make a perfect vinaigrette, perfect Italian dressing every time. If you start straying away from that ratio where you end up like 4 parts oil, 1 part vinegar, 3 parts vinegar, 1 part oil, and you taste the 3 parts vinegar, 1 part oil, and you bite into it, and you wonder why your lips curling up, because that's too acidic. And then you do it 4 parts oil, 1 part vinegar, too much oil, and you wonder why you got a film of oil on your mouth, or when you look like you're wearing lip gloss, because your lips are all shiny from all that oil. The ratio's off, and it'll taste oily, or it'll taste too acidic. Does that make sense? Okay. In our vinaigrette, we're going to make what's known as an emulsified vinaigrette. Then we're going to take the vinaigrette that we made and actually introduce it into the vinaigrette that we're making now. Did I lose anybody on that one? Okay, the first thing we want to add into the bowl is our mustard. Our mustard is what's going to hold it together. If you're making a classic vinaigrette or a basic vinaigrette, leave it out. Because all a basic vinaigrette is 3 parts oil, 1 part vinegar, salt, pepper. That's it. But if you want it to stay together longer, then you introduce an emulsifier. This is what you'll see a lot of times in the banquet kitchens. If they're serving a salad for like 500 people and they're serving a vinaigrette, it's a pretty good chance they're not serving a basic vinaigrette. Because if you take it out to the guests, they got to keep doing what? Stirring it up. So they're actually making emulsified vinaigrette, which gives you the same taste, except a little bit more tangier. And this holds up and looks better on the table during the banquet. I'm going to add in our mustard. Okay, in the bowl we have the mustard. Everybody with us so far? Huh? in the big bowl. We're going to end up with 1 ounce of vinaigrette, and we got like a 5-gallon bowl right here. We're going to add in a little bit of salt.
Is that sea salt or regular salt?
Just regular salt. And you can change the sauce up. It can be sea salt, it can be kosher salt, it can be whatever taste you got. Same way with the oils. You can change the oils up. If you don't like olive oil, change it to salad oil. If you don't like salad oil, change the vegetable oil. If you don't like change the vinegar. If you don't like white vinegar, you can change it to red wine vinegar. That's a red wine vinaigrette. If you don't like red wine vinegar, you can change it to balsamic vinegar. That's a balsamic vinaigrette. If you don't like olive oil and you like walnut oil, now that's a walnut vinaigrette. See how everything falls off each other? And you guys probably didn't think you were walking into a class where it's going to have this much detail in it. I don't do basic classes, guys. I want to make sure that when you leave here, you know a lot more than when you came in. Does that make sense? Okay, in the bowl we got mustard, which is our emulsifier, salt and pepper. We're going to add in the vinegar. And stir it up. Okay. And you he looking mighty hard at that mustard. Okay, now stir it up. And when he does it, now he's forming the emulsion. Same thing you do when you're shaking the bottle up, he's doing the same thing. And I'm going to introduce the oil into it, and then we'll introduce this one into that one. You ready? Get all that mustard on the side. And I'll give you guys a clue. Next time you want to make sure you get a smaller bowl. I can barely see the dressing in here, and I'm standing next to it. Okay, now we're going to introduce this into her and actually form the body into the dressing. You ready? And he's going to actually give you guys a tip. When you're doing it, he's going to actually take it and he's going to whip a little faster. Because the faster you whip and the more vigorous you whip, the longer that emulsion stays together. If you do this, you're in trouble. But, yeah, if you get like this, you ready? There we go. Yes, I'm going to tilt the bowl. You ready? Go in a circular motion. See how it's bonding together, guys? I'm coming around and show you guys. The mustard's going to hold it together, so you don't have to work as hard. And give you guys a piece of advice. When you do this, you know an easy way to do it? You could have just put this in a food processor. You could have put it in a food processor or a blender. In 2 seconds, you'd have been done. But if you put it in a food processor, look at the smile on you guys' face. That smile wouldn't be there. Only thing that would be smiling is the food processor.
Like you say, when you put the oil in the vinegar, you just shake it, right?
Yeah, you can put it in a jar.
And then you put the mustard later.
It's okay. It'll still emulsify. But a lot of times, I would probably just put the mustard in while I'm doing the oil and the vinegar, as opposed to later. If you got Italian dressing and you want to make an emulsified vinegar, yeah, you can take mustard, put it in there, shake it up, and it'll be emulsified vinaigrette. You can add mustard later. Or you can do half basic vinaigrette, half emulsified vinaigrette. Did that make sense to everybody? After all the stuff I've been through? Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to let you guys taste the asparagus vinaigrette. Where's my assistant at? This is dish number 1, which is the asparagus vinaigrette. And keep in mind it's going to be cold. So the asparagus should be al dente. It means it's still kind of firm to the bite, to the tooth. And keep in mind this is a side dish or a little small appetizer. So the asparagus still should have some crunch to it. pretty interesting first course, isn't it? And in your recipe, it mentioned that you can actually take lemon zest and sprinkle it across the top. If we're going to present it, I would probably present the asparagus whole like this and take the vinaigrette and put it right across the top and then sprinkle a little lemon zest on it. Okay, now what we're going to do is, guys, you had the lighter version. That's the real lighter version of the meal. Now we're about to get into the heart or the stomach of the meal. That's when we're going to get into your pasta and your chicken. We're going to do a dish called pan-roasted chicken with sugo di arrosto. Does anybody know what the word sugo means in Italian? The word sugo in Italian actually means sauce. So we're going to do a pan-roasted chicken with a sauce di arrosto. Arrosto actually means roast. So what you do is you make the sauce from the roasted chicken from the drippings in the bottom of the pan. Does that make sense? I want you guys to take a look at this. This is what's known as your citrus gremolata. You see this mentioned as a topping a lot of times on a lot of Italian dishes. You could have easily taken the gremolata and put it on the asparagus. Another main ingredient is actually zest. We're going to do it with lemon zest and orange zest. You can change the zest up. You can do it with lime zest, grapefruit zest. You can mix the different types of zest when you I said zest, sweeties. You can mix the different types of zest when you make your gremolata. So what we're going to do now is we're going to show you guys how to make the gremolata. Everybody saw what the finished product looked like, right? Okay, you guys ready? So we know from the green color that one of the main ingredients in this gremolata is what? Parsley. Okay? And we know from the smell of all the citrus, we got zest from what? Orange and lemon. Okay, here we go. Yeah, you can use that. Okay? Everybody still with me so far? Don't mix it up yet. Okay? Take a look, guys. Everybody see where we're at so far? Okay? Okay? And it's a recipe I gave you guys, so we're pretty good on that one. And a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, and we're going to bind it together with the what? With the oil. Grab your fork, break up your garlic. And the reason I had them break up that garlic because our garlic is in one big chunk. And we don't want to bite into a big old chunk of garlic. Then you got a date later on, and then you're breathing on that date's face with all that garlic. Basic standard gremolata. Same thing that we have in a container you've got right here. See it? It's okay to smell it, guys. Beautiful gremolata.